Welcome to the Record Management Training Online series for the National Foster Care Support Volunteer Program. To start, going to review what is a record management volunteer. So you are someone who is technologically savvy. This role will require a lot of data entry, being well versed in both of our softwares. So having the ability to pick up on new platforms quickly is what's going to help you succeed in this role. Great attention to detail, as you'll be supporting 7 of our different life-saving programs and need to ensure that you're completing each task where you need to complete it. Has critical thinking skills, has great organization and time management skills, and if not most importantly, wants to help in all things data related. We totally understand that we would love to be the woman in this picture with all of these kittens around us as we volunteer for animal welfare, but there's another term where we call indirect life-saving, where how your actions are contributing to the work as a whole and how you are still continuing to save lives. The expectations of this role are that we ask you to commit roughly 2 hours each week, or if it's better for your schedule, 8 hours per month. Ensure that you're keeping up with communication for project updates and task completion to team members or task POCs. And you are going to be a best friends representative. This role isn't necessarily front facing to other animal hospitals or to foster parents, but you will be interacting with your fellow teammates. And also the ability to work independently. So while you will have project POCs, you will still be working from home and on your own for some of the tasks before you meet and delegate with your project POC or task POC. What can you expect from us is continued engagement, discussions, and communications. We're constantly looking at how we can highlight what's going well, but then also have an opportunity to reflect on areas that we can improve on. And lastly, you always have the support and guidance from us, which is myself, Michelle Flickcraft, Carrie Smith, and Christina Stromness. We are the National Community Engagement Team and will support you throughout your entire volunteer experience. You also have the support and guidance of each program team, but again, myself, Michelle, Carrie, and Christina will be your National Community Engagement Support Team. One of the most important things I want to review is how the communication and collaboration will work for this program. And so to start, I wanted to review that we'll be utilizing Microsoft Teams and Trello for some of these communication and collaboration platforms. If you've used them before, great. If not, we're going to give a quick overview, and then there's a second video in this training series that will go in depth how you will identify taking on a task. But with these 2 platforms, I wanted to highlight the 2 most important steps that you will take at the beginning of each shift. Step number 1 is doing your shift check-in in our Teams group chat. So you'll say, hey, checking in for my shift, starting the day. Step number 2 is to always look at the Trello Task Manager, as that's where you'll find the work that needs to be done. So let's take that review. So this is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams has the opportunity to create as many teams as an organization would like. For this program, we have our National Foster Care Support Program team, where all the volunteers in this program will be added. And then there are little mini subsections called channels, where we've identified them to be the specific roles in this program. So you as record management will always be referring to the record management channel. In your channel, it's going to have some tabs up here at the top. One is going to be for files. This is important because it always will have the most up-to-date version of the training manual here, in addition to some training videos. Next, I also want to show you the all program information. This is how you'll reference general contact information, or pretty much anything a foster parent would need to foster an animal for a specific program. So for LA, for instance, all of these programs will have a section for general contact information, medical contact steps for non-emergency or emergency, how to request supplies, adoption-related items, foster appointments, and orientations, and then also resources that they would need. So again, this is really just great to reference if you need any of these buckets of information. Then there's the Trello task. So this will have 4 lists here for priority tasks that typically have a due date, reoccurring task, what's currently being worked on, and what has been completed. So now I want to review with you what you will need to do at the beginning of each and every volunteer shift. So the first thing is first, you'll open up your Teams and go to the Record Management Volunteer Group chat. This is where we'll introduce you once you're fully onboarded, in addition to where you will check in to every shift. All volunteers in this role are here in addition to all of the program team members. So you'll just say, hey, checking in for my shift. Again, just however you would like to check in. Then you will go to your Trello task manager board. Again, always making sure that you are in the right channel, as they are different by role. This is the Record Management Trello task. In the next video, it's going to show you how you're going to identify yourself as a person that's going to take on the task, in addition to using what's called Teams tagging. So again, you will be watching that in the next video. To continue on with some of the tasks that you will be responsible, one of them will be the delegate inbox account. So a delegate inbox account are any shared emails. So for instance, fosterla@bestfriends.org, fosteratl@bestfriends.org. So you'll be able to access this through your personal email. And there is a step-by-step SOP for this in your training manual. And so once you get your Best Friends account, you will be able to access that. I did want to highlight the 3 most important rules for the delegate inbox account. Number 1, always use your name. These shared accounts don't have a custom signature, so you will always need to enter your name so we would know who sent the email. So if there's any follow-up needed, can find that person. 2, unaddressed emails should always be marked unread. Unaddressed emails identify that an action is still needed to be completed, for instance, like a communication or a follow-up. And then lastly, if not the most important, is to never delete a conversational email or something that needs to be referred to later on. Again, if it's some type of spam, that can definitely be deleted, but otherwise it should always be moved to the appropriate folder or archived. Team members will often search for communication to just see what has been communicated to a person, so that way we don't have to repeat the same steps, or we can find ways, another way to help that foster parent. In addition to those, there are going to be labels for the inboxes, and there's one specific to your role, and you will always be tagged record management if there's some type of data entry associated. So if something needs to be entered into Shelter Love or Digital Cheetah, your role will be tagged. There's going to be opportunities where staff may need to be involved in responding. So there are 4 staff urgent and non-urgent tags. We do ask that if you're tagging something urgent, that you also Teams chat that team so they have the heads up, as sometimes they are not always checking their email. Oh, and I did spell urgent incorrectly. One of the softwares that you'll be utilizing a lot in your volunteer duties is Shelter Love. Shelter Love is our Shelter Love management software, which means that it tracks the animal's journey from the moment they are in our care to even after they're even after post-adoption. So this stores their behavior notes, medical histories, any type of foster care note, adoption notes, all of that is in Shelter Love. So some of the tasks that you'll be completing in Shelter Love are just managing the attributes for animals and people, again, with always the direction from the team members. document conversations from foster caregivers, help create accounts, help pull reports that you will then have to plug in that data elsewhere. And so in the Shelter Love training of this, or sorry, in the Shelter Love portion of this training, it's going to review how to complete all of these tasks and give you a general comfortability to complete these things. In addition, in your training series, you'll have a section titled For Digital Cheetah. And so this is our volunteer management software. You should already be comfortable with this one, as it's what you use to sign up for your welcome orientation, or what you would use, or what you use to create your volunteer profile. And so the website is volunteers.bestfriends.org, but we call it Digital Cheetah. So some of our programs utilize Digital Cheetah for foster appointments, but all of them utilize it for our foster orientation. So in the Digital Cheetah section of this training series, you are going to learn how to maintain accurate information on the foster parents' accounts in Digital Cheetah. You'll know how to grant them the specific access that they would need, so that way they can register for appointments. And you'll also know how to manage those appointment calendars, so you can add or cancel some of those items. In addition to the most important task, which is always going to be needed, especially at the beginning of each month, is going to be recording the foster volunteer hours from Shelter Love into Digital Cheetah. Because Shelter Love and Digital Cheetah do not speak to each other, your role will be taking that information from one of the softwares and putting it into the other. And so that is, again, the most reoccurring and probably important role, or sorry, task that you'll be doing as well, or really helpful task. There are some additional asks and miscellaneous data projects, again, really highlighting your strength as a technologically savvy guru. So again, that's some of that Shelter Love reporting. There's a platform called Airtable that all of our adoption programs use. And so sometimes there are cleanup roles in there. Again, familiarity with Microsoft Excel. So programs that need a list of available transport animals, you can pull that report from Shelter Love into Excel and organize it in a way for the program. And again, keeping that and more open, because sometimes dream projects come up. It's like, oh, I wish that I could have the information for this, and you'll have your task POC to be able to walk you through this, and then you can work together from there. So now I want to review what happens at the end of your shift. So most important, ensure that you're wrapping up any data entry loose ends, foster communication loose ends, so that way another person can wrap up if anything is left incomplete, or again, just know where we're at, that last, again, that overall status. And then if you're at the computer, why not register for another shift? And then also to log your volunteer hours. If you registered for a volunteer shift, it will automatically calculate your hours for you. But let's say it took you an hour extra to complete a task, or that you picked up another shift but didn't register, or just, again, picked up another task and didn't register, then you can just make sure that you manually track those hours and enter them into your volunteer profile in Digital Cheetah before the end of the month. So that way it is added to the monthly total of volunteer hours contributed. And again, one reminder is that you can add it in as one lump sum, rather than, oh, I did 1 hour on January 8th, 1 hour on January 21st. It's just, hey, here was the total lump sum. So that concludes this first portion, or I guess section of the video training series for the record management role. Good luck.